America, home of burgers, baseball, and, perhaps most importantly, a legacy of scientific innovation that has shaped the modern world. From the earliest days of the nation, curiosity and a drive to solve big problems have been woven into the American story. Think about it. The light bulb, the airplane, the personal computer, the polio vaccine, these weren't just inventions. They were revolutions that changed how people everywhere live, work, and dream. The United States has long been a place where bold ideas are not only welcomed but actively encouraged, and where the impossible is often just the starting point for the next big breakthrough. But lately, some are asking, is the magic running out? Has the U.S. lost its edge, or is it just facing tougher competition? For decades, America has been the Silicon Valley of science, a place where the world's brightest minds come to turn wild ideas into reality. The country's universities, research labs, and tech companies have been magnets for talent, investment, and ambition. But the world is changing fast, and the race for scientific leadership is more intense than ever before. Just look at the track record. The internet, born in American labs, it's now the backbone of global communication, commerce, and culture. GPS, another U.S. invention, quietly guiding everything from airplanes to pizza deliveries. These are technologies that have become so essential, it's hard to imagine life without them, and they're just the tip of the iceberg. Gene editing, microchips, and the digital revolution, these too have deep American roots. The U.S. has been at the forefront of decoding the human genome, building the world's fastest computers, and shrinking technology down to the size of a grain of sand. These breakthroughs have powered entire industries, created millions of jobs, and given rise to new fields of science and medicine that were once the stuff of science fiction. How did America pull this off? It wasn't just luck. Institutions like NASA, DARPA, and the National Institutes of Health have played a huge role, channeling billions of dollars into research and development. Government funding has been the rocket fuel behind many of the country's biggest scientific leaps, from landing on the moon to mapping the human brain. And let's not forget the private sector. Companies like Bell Labs, IBM, and Google have pushed the boundaries of what's possible, often in partnership with universities and government agencies. But here's the plot twist. The rest of the world isn't standing still. In fact, the global science landscape is shifting faster than ever. Countries that once looked to the U.S. for leadership are now building their own world-class research institutions, attracting top talent and investing heavily in the technologies of tomorrow. The competition is fierce, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Take China, for example. In just a few decades, it's gone from a scientific underdog to a powerhouse, graduating more STEM students each year than the U.S., and pouring billions into fields like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and quantum computing. Chinese researchers are publishing more papers, filing more patents, and winning more international awards than ever before. Their government has made science and technology a top priority, and the results are starting to show. And it's not just China. Europe, India, South Korea, Israel, and other countries are all in the race, each bringing their own strengths to the table. Europe's tradition of basic research, India's booming tech sector, Israel's startup culture, these are all fueling a new era of global innovation. International collaboration is at an all-time high, with scientists from every continent working together to tackle challenges like climate change, pandemics, and clean energy. So, is the U.S. losing its lead? Or is it simply evolving, adapting to a world where scientific breakthroughs can come from anywhere? Some experts worry that America's dominance is slipping, pointing to declining research funding, visa restrictions for international students, and a growing sense of complacency. Others argue that competition is healthy, that it pushes everyone to work harder, think bigger, and innovate faster. The truth is, the answer isn't simple. The U.S. still has enormous advantages, but the gap is narrowing. America still leads the world in Nobel Prizes, tech startups, and private research investment. The country's universities are home to some of the brightest minds on the planet, and its entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. From Silicon Valley to Boston's biotech corridor, American companies are launching new products, creating new industries, and solving problems that matter to people everywhere. Just look at recent headlines. OpenAI is pushing the boundaries of artificial intelligence, SpaceX is making space travel routine, and American scientists are using CRISPR to rewrite the code of life. These are the kinds of breakthroughs that keep the U.S. at the forefront of global science and technology, but they didn't happen by accident. They're the result of decades of investment, collaboration, and a willingness to take risks. But here's the kicker. U.S. research funding as a percentage of GDP is actually lower today than it was in the 1970s. That means, relative to the size of the economy, America is investing less in the future than it used to. Some labs are struggling to keep the lights on, and young scientists are finding it harder to get grants and launch their careers. If this trend continues, the U.S. risks falling behind in the race for the next big discovery. So, what's really at stake here? It's not just about bragging rights or national pride. The future of medicine, energy, transportation, and even national security depends on staying at the cutting edge of science and technology. If America loses its innovative edge, it could mean fewer cures for diseases, slower progress on climate change, and missed opportunities to create the industries and jobs of tomorrow. Imagine a world where the next cure for cancer, the next breakthrough in clean energy, or the next leap in artificial intelligence comes from somewhere else. That's not just a blow to American prestige. It could reshape the global balance of power, shift where the best jobs are created, and change how we all live. The stakes are enormous, and the outcome is far from certain. So what can America do to stay ahead? Experts say it starts with doubling down on science education, making sure every kid, no matter where they live, has access to world-class teachers, labs, and opportunities to explore their curiosity. It means investing in research, not just in the hottest new fields, but in the basic science that lays the groundwork for future breakthroughs, and it means welcoming talent from around the world, because innovation thrives when people from different backgrounds and perspectives work together. The big question is, will Made in the USA still mean world-changing science in 2050? That's not a guarantee, it's a challenge. It will take vision, investment, and a renewed commitment to the values that made America a leader in the first place. Curiosity, openness, and a belief that the future can be better than the past. The next chapter of American science is being written right now, in classrooms, labs, and startups across the country. So stay curious, ask the big questions, support science, and encourage the next generation of innovators. Because the future of American breakthroughs, and maybe the world, depends on what we do next.